drop it like it's hot.
Hi there, welcome to Andertons TV. Here with Rob and Matt from the Pro Audio department, and we're here with Andy Mack from Akai. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm very well. I'm good. I'm good.
Cool. We're here to have a look at the new Akai MPC X.
We certainly are. So, any questions first, or should I roll?
Just tell us a little bit about it to begin.
So, MPC X, this is our new flagship. So, this is really, your studio hub. This is the one that's going to kind of really put creativity back into the hands of producers, and the reason being is because you're not relying on the laptop anymore. With MPC X, you've got 4 MIDI outs, we've got 8 CVs, we've got mic inputs, instrument inputs, and you've got this amazing 10.1 inch multi-touch gestured screen that really lets you interact with all the production elements of all the classic workflows. And then adding to that, we've got this whole OLED section here that basically interacts with everything that you're doing on the hardware. And also, if you do move into using the 2.0 software and you want to use a controller, this then gives you access to all of your third-party plugins and instruments, and it gives you visual feedback of everything that's going on. So it literally minimizes the use of having to rely on the mouse at all as well. So that's just a very quick overview.
Awesome. This is sort of, taking you out of the box, out of your doors and that, and sort of giving you that sort of real hands-on functionality again. In comparison to the old MPCs, what sort of new features are we seeing?
Well, okay, so what we've done, we've looked at, everything that made the MPC workflow so classic, and we've enhanced all those things with really what everyone's using today as well. Now, some of the things that we use on a daily basis, so we've added audio tracks. Now, audio tracks might be something that we're all used to, but not in a device like this. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go here for a real quick second. I'm just gonna pull up some stuff here. Now, with audio tracks, this whole piece of hardware enables anyone who's kind of doing live performance, anyone who's in a band, anyone who wants to play back stems or backing track vocals, whatever, in a live environment. And there's a number of artists that we've been working with who've been using some of the conventional old HD systems that are now moving over to this purely because of that feature. Awesome. So we can drag in audio stems, and as soon as we bring them in, the great thing is that we can warp them. So we can now go into that whole real-time time stretching. So if we just took this vocal here, right, so we tune that down by 7 semitones, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn off the effect on here for a second, and we'll go back to the vocal, and we'll go audio, and we'll solo this.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
So now we're in warp mode.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Now, obviously, with all the future bass stuff going on and deep house and everything, there's a lot of manipulation of vocals. So we can literally take our toolbox, go in, chop all the vocals up, move everything around on the screen, just hide the channel strip, erase, pick up. We can copy, move that across, enter, and we can just do some really quick features by just moving around the screen and utilizing the whole audio track capability. So if you're a singer-songwriter, you want to put down some top line ideas, or again, you just want to chop up stems and stuff, you've got all of these tracks that you can do all this kind of stuff with.
It's a really awesome functionality that's been incorporated there.
Yeah, especially, because I think when you look at the products that have came from this workflow that people use today, adding all the functionality of what we've relied on the DAW to do just changes the whole game. Yeah. And we've seen that in the response that we've had with obviously the Live and the X.
Of course, yeah.
And there's so many people that they don't just make beats, they want to add the vocals on, and they want to put live instruments back onto tracks.
Yeah, sure.
Looking at the sort of chopping stuff up, if you were to say take those chops you've done there and put them onto the pads, how would that be done?
You would do that in sample mode. So audio tracks is linear, so everything that you do, you look at that as a linear workflow. If you want to start going into sample manipulation, we go into sample edit, and now we go into our trim facility, so we can now go into, let's just say, regions here. So now that sample would be technically split across the pads. And then what you'll see here on my OLEDs, you will see that these will auto update, and now I've got control over everything that I'm doing. So let me just erase these. And now we can punch in, we can move to each.
So just based on transients, right?
That's it. Or we can do it by threshold regions, by
Okay, that's
BPM,
cool.
and then hit shift, convert, process, and now that will come back into MIDI. If I go here, go to MIDI, and then that will be where my samples would be that I've just chopped up. It will just auto make a program for you.
Yeah, nice.
On that one. So having the ability to use audio tracks, it just opens up the workflow to so many more different types of producers and singer-songwriters, etc. Other features as well. So typically we have your MPC drum mode. Okay, so if we go we just go through the source files here. So you got your typical drums, and we can go through different types of kits. Every time you go to a kit, they're all RGB, color coordinated, come out 16 levels. Then we go to key group mode. Now key group mode is where you get all your internal instrument sounds. So inside here we have about 400 instrument sounds, and there's also expansion packs that you can purchase that are dedicated to different types of sound sets.
That's really cool.
Then one of the most important things we've added is clip launching. So this takes you into the world of like APC 40 kind of territory,
Right.
which is using the time stretching and the pitch shifting to manipulate live loops. So again, anyone who wants to do live performance that is loop based, which a lot of people use, you've now got the ability to lock everything to your master tempo. So if we went back to that first track here, and we go to audio tracks. Let me zoom out of this for a second. Go back to audio sample. I'm going to go to MIDI, and I'm going to go to my audio. See what we've done here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to load that file up again because we were doing loads of chops and stuff to it. I'm going to go to. Where did I put it? Browser. There it is. Let me just reload that again. So what I do, so what we were saying, clip launching.
Yeah.
So if I go back to this project, here we'll play the drums. Okay. And I'm just going to mute that. Go back to the audio. Okay, here's the audio track. Go back to MIDI.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's
Now go to clip launching.
on the PX truck.
And now you'll see all the pads will go in lanes. So we've got drums, bass,
It's in the
melodics,
crib, ma. Drop it like
vocals.
it's
Now if I bring in my tempo, turn
on
the
the
tempo
PX
up,
truck.
everything's going to move the tempo.
So these are warps.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's
Cool.
So we can now go to that
on the
audio,
PX truck.
go back to this here, pull that over.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
And then we can record these clips as well.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
So everything's recording now.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it
back
like
to
it's
audio.
hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Then we can take this, detune this down, pull it back up.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's
Time
hot.
as well.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. On the PX try to get.
And then speed up,
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop
bring it
like
back
it's hot.
down,
PX try to get it.
turn your clips off, go back to the hip hop beat.
It's in the crib, ma. Drop it
So
like
it's
it's
a
hot.
performance tool as well.
Yeah.
Drop it like it's hot.
So you can really manipulate, like, you know, obviously we've just chucked something at it, but
In terms of importing stuff, how's
Yeah.
that done? Is it via SD card, memory stick, or just from the computer?
okay, so we've got loads of different methods. So we've got two USB 3s at the back
Cool.
here, so we can
Cool.
bring in external hard drives, okay, and bring in
Wicked.
samples from there. We have SD card at the front as well for bringing in samples. Underneath you have a docking station, so you can put like a 2 terabyte SSD,
Cool.
and then you can
Wow.
have all your own sounds
Yeah.
internally. Or you just use the internal drive, which is a 16 gig SSD, which is really more for the factory content that's on board.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So getting stuff in and out, not a problem. There's loads of different storage facilities on board.
Cool.
Cool. In terms of, I guess, use it with software. So there's going to be, I imagine, some Akai software which will come with it.
So we've been working on 2.0 of MPC, which has completely been redesigned from the ground upwards, and that's going to be shipping with MPC Live and MPC X.
Cool.
Now that is a complete rebuild of everything that we've done. You know, this has got a new mixing facility, resizable windows, everything. And that again has 4 different types of algorithms of time stretching. So you have Elastic Pro, Elastic, MPC, and a mobile efficient if you're using a lot of files. It will host all of your plugin formats as well. And again, if we were using the OLEDs, I would simply go to menu. I would boot up into don't save. I'd boot up into control mode, and what it would do now, it will go and look for the computer.
Awesome.
And then it would reboot, and then any third-party plugin that we're using, we will see all the facilities come up here. So I'd see my threshold, ratios, attack, release.
That's really cool. It's a really cool function that's been added in there.
And the great thing about it, you don't need to touch the mouse at all. We simply say, okay, let's just say I've got some drums on here. So we'll go to browser. Go to our browser. We'll pull in some. Pull in something here. Real quick, go down to Deep House. So now, if I've got a drum kit here, we can go to our channel strip on the left-hand side, and now we just clip on effects. And then what I'd see here is the ability to go through third parties. And then as soon as I select an effect, so if we just go to say a compressor here, I would go select, edit, and then you can see these just instantly update, and then you would have your plugin on screen. You would be doing your EQ sweeps or whatever you want to do.
Awesome.
And then we can go into automation as well, and we can automate that stuff as well just by going up here, and then you can edit all your automation or whatever you want to do. But dealing with third party is very efficient. And then also another really cool thing is, if you say, for instance, you've opened up a instance of Silent or something like that, and you're using that on, say, track 2 under, because there'll be basically there's a new plugin icon that comes up here that lets you access your third parties. Once you've recorded your part, so let's just say these are the parts that we've recorded as a baseline, we simply go edit, bounce to audio, and now that's done. So what it does, it mutes your original instrument and it puts it into an audio track. So when you save out the project to standalone mode, you've got all of the instruments that you've used.
As it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a freeze facility basically.
That's clever.
On that, which is pretty cool.
So how does it react with things like Ableton Live, for example? If this is going to be a performance feature, obviously that's quite good for performance. Does it work with that, or is it kind of separate?
Oh yeah, you can run it as a plugin. So you can open up the MPC 2.0 as a plugin inside Ableton, and then depending what you want to be the master sync, if you want to run this as the master or the slave, it's up to you. But the great thing is what you can do is, if we go into, say, clip mode, I'm in clip mode here, I could actually drag and drop clips from Ableton straight into the MPC software and then just save that out as a project, and then I've got a lot of my clips.
So then it's standalone again, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I think there's a fine line of what people are after. I think and the reason why we went with clips as well is because a lot of people have been using Ableton, but there's a lot of people that are trying to move away from having that laptop in a live environment. So them being able to bring in clips directly into here, it minimises the use of that laptop and it gives them a lot of the facilities that they're used to.
A lot of people are quite squeamish about using a computer, just the fact that it will die or something like that. This is giving them a little bit more stability for the live performance.
And also, as well, I think in a live environment, you're also seeing a lot of people driving external MIDI equipment and CV modular equipment. So if we was on a live sequence, we could set, say, channel 1 up to do clip launching. So then we'll just pick our type of clip. So go into our browser, and you can import all of your own clips in as well. And they're very simple to create. Now, if I go to clips, again, you'll see the lanes change, go to edit clips, and now I can set up different types of quantizing of how I want to launch them. So this will deal with the whole program. So every time I hit a pad, it will launch the next clip within a 1-bar stage. If I go into pad performance, now what I can do is I can edit my clip very easily. I can do this via here with the OLEDs. You can see how everything will be syncing up. and also we can change the quantize. So this is how I want to quantize each individual pad as well. So again, it's very customizable of how you want to set these parameters up live. So then track two could be MIDI. So I could have some Moog synths over here, and then cool. I can set these up and go, okay, MIDI 1 will be on track 2, which would be Moog or whatever, and I can just hit my keyboard, name this here, that's done. And then track 3 again would be MIDI, track 4 could be drums, and then we pull up drums, and then track 5 could be CV. And then we've got the option to run filter envelopes. We've got CV, let me go here, let's pull this up here. We can now go to pad parameter. Here we go, so here's all my 8 CVs now. So it's up to me of how I want to physically connect those to my modular equipment. So again, we could be running a gate, we could be running an envelope, filter sweep, whatever we want to do. And we can automate all that as well, directly by hitting our automation.
It's a really cool feature.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you combine all these things, there are actually a lot of things that people use, and people have so many different devices to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Where the most interesting thing that's made people really kind of warm towards the X is the fact that they can use it as that studio hub.
Yeah, of course.
Bring everything into one location.
Sort of been completely, Akai seem that they've completely reimagined the new workflow for the modern day beat maker and producer.
Yeah. It's got a lot of things you liked about the original MPCs in there. Like the pads, for example, they feel very similar. I mean, have they been changed at all?
Yeah, this is new pad technology, and you put this up against anything, it just wipes the floor with any pad technology out there. It really does. The pure feel. I've done a lot of sessions with this. We've seen a lot of artists, and when you use the X, it feels like an instrument. It just makes you makes you very creative, really, because even when you're sitting in the studio, we pull up some drums, and we've got, say, a bunch of patterns here. There's no lag on that screen at all. You want to start moving your kicks and snares back and forward. We can literally just do don't snap, and look, I'm just moving them off the grid, just very subtly.
Very easy to get that swing sort of feel that you can.
Talk about it. Is there some sort of shuffle to it, or is it all manual? I know there was sort of grooves or swings you can
do. So you've got all the original MPC templates here. So if we go into shift, we'll go to time correction. So there's all of our time divisions, and then here's the MPC swing that will go up to 75%.
Awesome.
Then you've got select all, and then you can shift the old style of moving stuff back and forth, and then the strength of that as well.
All right, so it goes a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, it gives, because I think, as you've seen, especially in DAWs, they take the classic MPC swing as a template, and then they give you a little bit more flexibility with it. So the fact that you can do this in real time anyway, and take your finger off and then start moving notes back and forth, that gives you the ability to really manipulate the audio, where on previous MPCs you'd have to do that as a command all the time.
Yeah.
So which I think nowadays everyone wants to get to A to B as fast as they can.
Of course,
definitely,
And this is where all these new features
definitely to help with that. And the only thing I was going to say was sampling in terms of external inputs, so record players, guitars, things like that. How would you do that?
Okay, so you've got line inputs, we've got mic inputs, guitar inputs, and phono for record players. Cool. So we just go straight into we've got sample edit here where we can sampler, and then we've got different modes of how we want to sample. So we could go into standard sample mode, and then it will wait for a signal to come in.
So by the threshold sort of thing.
That's it, and then we're done. And then we can basically just make that into a program or assign it to a pad.
Right.
Or you could go to slice mode, and then as soon as we do slice mode, as soon as I hit, I've got my input coming in.
Slices per pad.
Yeah.
That's a really cool feature.
Done. Tells you, hey, do you want to make a program? Yes, I do. Create program. Now we go to our programs. There's the program. Awesome. So you're literally doing that in real time. If you've got a deck set up, then you can go into, like if we go back to that feature again, let's go to sample. So we've got our music coming in, and we start bang, 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 and we're done. Stop, create. So now when we go to sample edit, there's all my chops. So I will now have control directly from my chops, just using my Q links, and we can go in, edit, or we can do it manually. We can go into all the different chops here. You can see, and you can drag and drop these, move them around, zoom in, zoom out. Very fast workflow.
Seems pretty intuitive as well. It makes sense.
Well, also, I think we all use touch screens on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Everything we do, you're interacting with a screen.
Of course, yeah.
And just simple things. If we're in track mode here, pull up some samples. Some real simple things that can be quite complex. So we've got a kick drum and we'll say snare. You want to assign a sample, we can just hit assign, and then we've got access to all of our samples here. But if you want to go into edit, one touch, and again, you can edit your sample directly from here. If you want to layer your drums, we go into layering, and now we can start layering samples just
Is that
instantly.
up to 4, is it, per pad?
4 per pad as well. We can tune, so if we go to here now, you can see that all my layers are here. So I can access all my samples, I can detune everything, I can fine tune, I can do all my levels. Then I can jump to my next page, and now I can offset my samples as well. So
Just going to stack them slightly.
yeah, so let's take this for instance. So we go back, we take snare, and then we'll layer on here. So let's find a layer that we want to use. And
Right, okay.
find something we can use here. There we go. So now, if we hit this, we can now offset the sample.
So it's not directly on top of it, it's
Yeah.
just after it.
So what you've got here is we go,
Cool, that's really cool.
and without having to go to your grid
And physically move it yourself,
and
yeah.
move the sample yourself. So again, these are really cool features that speed up your workflow.
Yeah.
Without having to stop, you can just go to these features and just be very hands-on.
Cool. So, how are the screens on the new MPC X? How are they sort of similar to what we're used to using on an everyday basis?
So these are obviously multi-gesture.
Yep.
So they'll do multiple commands. Now they really are so fluent to use. So if we go through the different modes, we can access any of the features from the screen, or you've got dedicated switches on the X.
Cool.
So this is step sequencer. Now if you just slide across,
It's very responsive.
that's right. So now you do some dynamics with the velocities. Just move your fingers across. Slide across.
Yeah, that's mad. That's
really
very,
responsive,
very
yeah.
responsive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when someone's trying to put some hi-hats together, you can just do that.
Yeah.
Come out.
Cool.
And it's the same with here. If we had a number of notes here, we can just zoom in, zoom out, there, come out, move your screen across.
Yeah.
It's really, really responsive.
Yeah.
So yeah, screen technology, and again, it's just because this is what we're used to now.
Of course, yeah.
So with sample editing, chopping, again, we kind of looked at audio tracks of how you can go into different types of audio. We can bring in a piece of audio here, and a lot of people work in drums with audio.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
In DAW, so we can
Yeah.
do that as well. So we can. This is a snare. We can move that, and it's going to snap to the grid as well. So whatever the quantize is that you're on. See, if I'm on an 8, you'll see that it's now snapping.
Cool.
If I take off don't snap, I can now move in real time.
Manually move it, yeah.
Yeah, and then I can warp that. Now it can time stretch, reverse, fade in, fade out, etc., etc. And because this is running the full version of 2.0 software,
Yeah.
anything that we do on the desktop side will be interfaced and updated on here.
That's really
so
cool.
we can always add new features all the time, which we're doing. So
That's
Cool.
great.
yeah, which is pretty mad.
Yeah.
So how would I start a track from scratch?
Okay, so we will go track 1, pick our drums, check our quantize, make sure you're on the right one that you need to use. We'll put a swing, shift timing, that can move it slightly early, slightly late, so we'll keep that on 0, and then we'll start. Now we can just keep that on 2 bars for a second. Then we can go into edit, double length. So now I've got 4 bars.
Cool.
Awesome.
Now, we can keep adding to this now. So we'll go track 2, another kit. Let's go to now you could go to track 3 and we could go to clips. And now that's all gonna be in time with the loops.
Warping it together.
Yeah. Now we could turn those off and go to instruments, pick an instrument, and we can now go to menu, pad performance mode,
Right.
and
To adjust those.
yeah, we can pick different chord progressions, different keys, chromatic chords. We can do whatever we want here, and we can also bring in all of our own chords as well. So you can play your own chord progressions and save them out as progressions and use them
So you
live.
can use a MIDI
really
controller
awesome.
to do that?
Yeah, you can plug in USB straight into this as well.
Right,
It will
that's
power
cool.
the keyboard, and then you can just be playing all your own keyboard parts in. So let's put that down, or we can just go to track 4 and use some other sounds. Whatever you want to do, so it's very creative. So let's go back to the instruments. Pad performance mode. 2, 3, 4. So that's
Super easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so simple to just sort of get things in whilst you're
Yeah.
on the fly.
It shows you the MIDI data for the chord as
yeah.
well.
There's all the data there, so we can now zoom in. Okay, zoom in. We can transpose these. Say take them down.
That's pretty
So,
cool.
and I
Pretty
think
awesome.
there's a lot of people that work this way in the
course,
grid
yeah.
for putting
Yeah.
chords down. So we've got that running. We can go to track 5, go to our drums, go to my browser. We can now pull in, say, something from Future Bass. So let's go do Future House. Pull this in. Go to drums. No repeat. Now, I can either implement this way, or we can come out and you can see the colours as well, that they've gone from like a high red to an orange to a yellow, which tells you all the different velocities that you're doing.
Yeah.
So now I'm in step sequencer, I can do all my velocities.
And that's just instantly quicker than how it would work inside
Yeah.
the box on a computer as well.
So
Yeah.
down, straight, and then you can, and then if you like that, you can then just save this out, go into 2.0, use some of your other plugins, bring it back, go to a gig, do whatever you want live, blend. Like now, let's do this as well. So we're at this clap. Go to step sequencer.
Nice and
Yeah.
feels.
Just like that. So, back. Simple. You can see all the notes here. Jump back. Now, this clap here, we can go into edit, and we can now look at all of our sounds, and we can just start adding on the top. So we can start layering, and then you'll see all my layers coming up here. So it's really easy if you want to go in and start layering up all your drums. Here we go, so we can add a snare. So it's very hands-on with
Yeah.
everything you're doing.
Yeah. Really just sort of unshackle you from the chains of your normal workflow and the kind of, the stuff that you're stuck with inside the box. It really sort of gives you a real
Definitely,
hands-on
yeah.
feel and a new approach to beat making. And
Well, it is, yeah, because I think that the creative process always starts with, on the pads. Everyone's using pads. And the more that you can do to get from A to B to a finished product is the key. And I think that's where other people have fallen down, is that you can't create the whole track, where MPC has always been renowned for building so many hit records because you can finish the whole song. But I think as features have become more demanding, when you're adding time stretching and all the clip launching and all the other functionalities that we've had and audio tracks, it means that if you do have an idea, you don't just have to stop at the drums and where you've created a few patterns and then bounce everything into your DAW or run it as a plugin, and then
it's always more of an instrument, isn't it? It's more organic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the big question is how much and when can we get our hands on them?
Okay, so this MPC X is $15.99. It's going to be available very, very soon, probably in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks at the max.
Very exciting.
MPC Live is also going to be available in the next few weeks as well. And MPC Live is exactly the same, runs all the same software, same power. It's just got less outputs, 6 outputs. It's got line inputs as well, and it's got a smaller screen, so you've got a 7-inch screen instead of the 10.1. But it's all the same technology, same capability, same hard drive, and it comes with a huge factory library from all the key sound designers, Capson Pro Audio, sample tools, MVP loops. There's huge amounts of expansion packs online as well, and there's so much more stuff coming in for content for the MPC format.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for coming down, Andy. That was really helpful. Obviously, if you want to get your hands on one of these, we'll put a link in the description to pre-order it. Once it's in stock, I'm sure we'll have one in store for you to have gone. So if you liked it, obviously like the comment and subscribe. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.